Well, hi there. I'm CJ Golden.
And I'm Wendy Green, and welcome to the Caregivers Bakery. This is the place where you can sit back, put your feet up, feel nourished, build a community with other caregivers, and learn from our guest. So, CJ.
Yes, darling.
I am starting to feel a little more bold now that I've had both of my vaccines and starting to, mingle a little bit, not a lot, but I was able to have some family over this weekend that hadn't been able to be together in over a year, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Have you had any experiences like that yet?
Yes. This is our holiday of Passover, and we had our daughter here for first Seder Saturday night, and then the other half of the clan came over on Saturday or Sunday night, and actually we are now in the midst of the NCAA women's basketball tournament, and we have friends coming for the semifinal game on Friday night. And friends coming for the final game on Sunday, assuming our UConn women will be there. It's remarkable. I even went out yesterday. It was my day of beauty. I had a pedicure, and I got my hair done.
Let me see the color.
You see. Well, I got
there it is.
Yeah, there we go.
That's you. I know it's starting to feel a little bit freeing, and it's really kind of nice to have that opportunity. And it feels strange.
Yeah, it feels strange, and we have to be careful. We have to be careful.
We do have to be careful.
Caution is still hanging in the air. Wendy, would you tell our listeners about how they can get the recipes ahead of time and what other wonderful things happen if they email us?
Recipes ahead of time. So these are worth sending emails for, right? Because we are getting some fabulous recipes from our guests. So if you want to be on our email list, not only will you get the recipe, CJ, you'll also get a reminder email with the links to the show. So
perfect.
So you can email CJ at authorcjgolden@gmail.com, or you can email me at wendy@heyboomer.biz, and we will make sure you get these delicious recipes at least the day ahead of time, along with the links. Why don't you tell them about the Sweet Spot that's coming up, CJ?
Yes, the Sweet Spot is our 1 hour long special Zoom event that takes place the third Wednesday of every month. Our first Sweet Spot featured Dave Nasani, who we had met the Thursday before. Our next Sweet Spot will be on the 21st of April, and it's going to be Kate Washington. I didn't leave you. I was looking at my calendar.
I know. We know.
You know that. Okay. And you're going to be Kate next Thursday. It's an hour-long Zoom event because it's interactive. You all who are with us can ask questions, can converse, and know that it's not being recorded. It's just for us. It's private and community. But at this point, I would love to bring this week's guest on.
I can do that.
Wendy, if you would do that, but while you're doing that, also explain how people watching today can share in the chat and can use the ampersand to tag their friends.
Right. Yeah. So hi, Kathy. Glad to have you join us.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah. Yes. And Doris. Hi, Doris. So I would love it if you guys would share the Caregivers Bakery with your friends. You can tag them in the chat just by putting their name with an ampersand in front of it. You can also just invite them to come to the sessions, like the page, come and listen to us. So we appreciate this sense of community that we're building, And please go ahead and share. And
Yes.
I know sharing is caring, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's bring Rabbi Address on. Would you like to
Wow.
introduce him?
Yes, I do. I have known of Rabbi Address for 3 or 4 years. We hadn't met until about 15 minutes ago. And everything that I've heard, gang, spot on right. This is a brilliant man. This is a man with a great sense of humor. This is a charming man. Do I get my quarter now, Rabbi?
Keep going. It's going up. It's going up.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to be reading this bio because I don't want to miss anything. There are some times when I can just do a quick and then the person will take off, but there's so much to this man. He is a founder and director of Jewish Sacred Aging. He is a host of a weekly podcast called Seekers of Meaning. He has served congregations in California and New Jersey, served on the staff of the Union for Reform Judaism for over 3 decades. You started, Rabbi, when you were 7, I think. Founding director of the Department of Jewish Family Concerns, and in that capacity, Rabbi Address brought to congregations the awareness of the revolution in longevity that is reshaping our contemporary world. He teaches several seminaries. He contributes articles to a variety of publications. He talks about issues relevant to the baby boomers, and he is here today because he is active in several organizations that deal in caregiving and advanced care. Forgive me, as I said, for reading that, but there was no way my adult brain would remember it all, and I just wanted you to know everything, almost everything there is about Rabbi.
Yeah, and I think as we were chatting, he mentioned that he was like talking to 5 different congregations this weekend over Passover, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this man doesn't sleep.
No, well, it'll stop now that baseball's back. So
there you go.
Oh, is that it?
It's a holiday. It's opening day.
So, Rabbi Address, when we first met, you and I was, kind of reviewing all this stuff that you were doing, and I said to you, so why did you agree to be a guest on Hey Boomer with all that you have going on? And you said to me, well, it's fun.
It is fun.
And so I'm going to dig a little deeper and say, well, what about that, about sharing your message is fun?
Well, first of all, hi, Wendy. Hi, CJ. And I'm glad that you're talking about the basketball tournament. And I wish you good luck with UConn.
Thank you.
When I say fun, it's let me see how I can describe. I was just having this conversation with a congregation last night. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy dialoguing with people, bringing the Jewish values and texts that relate to issues around aging and longevity. I enjoy that conversation. I learn a lot. I enjoy the dialogue with it. Our tradition has a tremendous amount of things to say about caregiving, and so it's fun in air quotes, I guess. But I enjoy. I mean, there's a lot of. I describe it sometimes like last night. I get a lot of juice from the conversation. It's stimulating, and it leads you to read some more, study some more, and get involved with some more. So that's basically a short form.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I run around the house now and I tell my husband, I have so much work to do. And it's fun. It's fun because of the experience of learning and growing. Rabbi, when we talk about dealing with caregiving and advanced care, the one thing that is important to me to remember, to learn, because I do talk with groups of women at senior living centers, and they are, if possible, older than me. And to bring to the care recipient the ability for them to keep their dignity. And I know that you discussed that. How does one do that? How does one make sure that the person you're caring for keeps their dignity?
Well, it's a very difficult question because there's no answer. There really, I believe this. There's no one answer. First of all, caregiving is very personal. You could go to Barnes and Noble and read every book, and something. It may not have anything to do with the relationship that you have with the person needing care. If it's a parent, all kinds, as childhood issues and family of origin issues, as well as genetic issues. But a lot of family of origin issues pop up. And so the idea of dignity and sanctity, these are the two foundational principles in the Jewish community about caregiving. They're drawn from the fifth commandment, honor and or respect, depending on where it appears in the Torah, because it's repeated 3 times. The 2 Hebrew words are kabed and tir'u, honor and respect. And in the tradition, you're not allowed to do anything. There's a rather lengthy discussion in the Talmud and Tractate Kiddushin from the 5th, 6th century of what it means to honor and what it means to respect. And it really means that you're not allowed to do anything to take away the sense of a person's dignity. But if you ask somebody now of our generation what the sense of dignity is, you may get a very, very different answer if you ask that question to a 30-year-old. And, you read books like Being Mortal by Gawande or some of the other books that are coming out. And dignity can mean a very, very different thing now. It's for some people in conversations I've had, it means I want to be clean. I don't want to be in a position where I'm dirty. I have to be toileted, and I don't want to have that. That to me, I want to be able to talk. If I can't do this, I'm no longer able to do that. I have no sense of my own dignity. And the fact of the matter is, you could say that now, and in 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 1 year from now, it could change because circumstances change and the will to live changes as well. So the sense of dignity. But on the other end, it means really having to treat a person as a human being and not as a means. It's the Buberian thou as opposed to the I-it. It's the I-thou. It's the Heschelian Abraham Joshua Heschel's concept of this relationship of needs and intimacy. And that's really a very, very, very powerful aspect of this whole question. And that's why caregiving is a new life stage. That's how we teach it. It's a brand new life stage. It could last for years, as you know. And it constantly has to be determined and reevaluated and where that person who is in that relation, that caregiving relationship, which by the way is multi-generational now, how that relationship evolves, because the relationship does evolve. It is not static. It is organic and evolving. And so you have to be open to the idea that I'm in a different place than I was a year ago. But when this situation happened, I'm in a different place now. I may be in a different place 2 years from now, but this is what I need now. And of course, then it's up to the caregiver, and if they're in an institution, to provide for that.
So, what a difficult answer. I'm listening to you, and at first, in the beginning, when you're saying, well, thinking about what you need to maintain your dignity, I'm thinking to myself, well, we should have the conversation before we're ever there.
Right.
But then you went on to say, but it can change.
Yes.
So once I'm there needing care, I may not be able to express.
So this is why it's absolutely essential in this day and age. And thankfully, more and more people are doing this, to have these types of caregiving, care plan conversations when everybody is, quote, healthy and there's no crisis. Because as you all know, as every clergy person knows, the worst time to make a decision is in the middle of crisis. So, and this is very difficult. I mean, my wife's not listening to this. We've tried to do this, and I get a lot of pushback, even in my own family. You know, I want to talk about this, or I want to develop a care plan. Well, it's fine. Everything's fine. That's the time to do it. It has to be reevaluated. I always teach this when we do this, go out for Jewish sacred aging in the workshops. You have to reevaluate these things every several years, because I may change my mind, and technology changes. So what was not possible 10 years ago is now standard operating procedure. I'm sure you both know situations where people who they're active now, they're very well. 10 years ago, you would have gone to their funeral, because medical technology has pushed the envelope. Well, if you have an advance directive or a healthcare proxy that says, I don't want any of this, but things have changed, and now that procedure that you say you don't want may actually save your life, because they've refined the technology. You have to reevaluate this stuff. And even the care plan. I mean, who's responsible is with mobility and people living around the country? And there's always a designated caregiver. I'm an only. So when my mom crashed with dementia, I was up to bat. I didn't have any brothers or sisters. But in families with siblings, there's usually a designated caregiver, who's, by the way, usually a woman. And proximity to the person needing care is not necessarily indicative of who that designated caregiver is. We've all seen that. And a lot of the family of origin stuff comes into play. And there's a whole need for, and it's a growing part of pastoral counseling, of counseling with caregivers and walking people through crisis. And all of us who've had to do this know the stress and strain, not only in the caregiver, but the caregiving is a family systems issue. It affects the entire family. It's not just, I'm the caregiver. It is a family systems issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we saw that last week with our guest, Janice Ferraro, who shared with us her caregiving for her dad and then her mom while she had 2 young daughters. Her husband was wonderfully comforting and supportive. They even built a new house that included
the mother-in-law suite.
Right.
Yeah, a spot where the parents could be. And what we learned from her was how she and Mike and their daughters, the young girls, recognized what was needed, worked together, and it was a growing situation for all of them. That's not always the case.
No, it isn't.
That's not always the case. And when it isn't the case, that's when I believe, perhaps I'm incorrect, that's when the care recipient starts being pushed to the side and becomes not a person, but a being that I have to take care of.
Right. Absolutely. When the person becomes an objectified issue, and you lose the humanity, you lose the dignity and the sanctity. In our tradition, if you could extrapolate thousands of years of text and said, give me the bottom line of this is the dignity and sanctity of human life, and the preservation of human life in dignity and in sanctity. And when that stops, and there's actually a text in the 12th century, Maimonides, who actually talks about what would happen if you're no longer able to care for a person, let's say a parent or a spouse, or God forbid, a child, and because of a whole variety of issues, financial, emotional, spiritual, physical, that it is permissible under certain circumstances to actually cede care to a third party. So that our tradition is very rich in actually anticipating stuff that people are actually living today. There's even a conversation in the Talmudic, this conversation about how does an adult child pay? And the answer is an adult child a lot of times pays for care through time, not money, but time, because you're driving mom to the doctor, you're taking them to the hospital, you're driving here, you're going to the CVS to get the prescription, you're taking them out. It's time, and not everybody can afford time. the tradition is the art of caregiving workshop that we do in our work is continually one of the most requested, because so many people are involved in this life stage, and there's no preparation. There's no class at college of Introduction to Caregiving 101.
So do you do this caregiving workshop regularly, an online workshop?
Yeah, now it's online. I mean, everything is in Zoom land, as I call it. But yeah.
Right. And so how would people find the workshop that you're doing?
You just go to the website, jewishsacredaging.com, and everything is there. There's the podcasts are there. There's a menu of suggested sessions, and it's fun. It's interesting. And because you're always meeting people who are living this. It's not theoretical.
Yeah, that does sound interesting.
It's very hands-on.
And it's based obviously in the Jewish traditions and the Jewish religions.
Right.
But other caregivers who may not be Jewish could still benefit from the teachings. Is that true?
Yeah, the values are all the same.
Yeah.
Everything we do is text-based. So the workshop we do on making sacred decisions at the end of life takes you through how the Jewish tradition would view how you make a decision. You were talking about advanced care as life begins to ebb. And it's very important, given the fact that medical technology has pushed the envelope. There's now 10 jurisdictions in the United States that, including where I live in New Jersey, that have passed medical aid in dying legislation. The entire country of Canada hasn't. So the nature of how you make a decision, and this idea of dignity and in sanctity, what does it mean at the end of life to be in a dignified and sanctified way, and how do you and when is enough? And the tradition has much to say about that. And so yes, everything is text-based, and it's jewishsacredaging.com, and that can bring you to.
I'm going to look for that.
Yeah.
No, please do.
Yeah, I am. Can we talk about this recipe?
The recipe comes from the princess.
The princess.
Otherwise known as my granddaughter, Ayla, who is soon to be 12. And basically is in an independent poll that I took in southern New Jersey of grandchildren, wound up being with her brother the two most perfect grandchildren. It was a very small poll, but it was very.
Yeah, I don't think my grandkids participated in that.
No, they did. No, they did. It was geographically specific. But Ayla is into baking, and before Passover, she made this coffee cake, which we can't have during Passover, so we ate it all before Passover.
There you go. And
she's really cool. She's really into it. I mean, she really into it, and they got her a whole mixing, bowl and everything. Right. I'm encouraging her to go into catering, but what the hell? What do I know? I'm just her grandfather.
That's cool.
Well, I have to say it was, I made it because I only celebrate Passover for a couple of days. So.
Well, we still have a couple more days here, but I will tell you
that it was easy to make.
Yeah, and in the morning, a cup of coffee, a good cup of coffee, and a good piece of that coffee cake, and you are ready to face the day.
Well,
yeah. Well, I will face that day on Sunday morning. I have friends coming over. We're going to be together, actually, in the house watching the championship game for the women, and enjoying the coffee cake.
Well, that's good. And
for sure.
Ayla will be very happy, and I will tell her that.
Yeah, tell her. She should meet my 13-year-old grandson who cooks. So he made us fried chicken the other night, and
fried chicken.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's good. I think it's a great idea that kids are into cooking. I really do. I
love it.
It's really nice. It's a good bonding thing, and with her mother, and the result is, as opposed to math, you can taste it.
Yes, exactly.
It's hard to get excited over a quadratic equation.
It doesn't happen.
So if people want to get this recipe now, tell them how they can get it, CJ.
Well, now you can go to our Facebook page, The Caregivers Bakery, and I will post the recipe right after the show. It will be there for you to enjoy, but do not forget, please, that our growing community would love you to email us, either authorcjgolden@gmail.com or wendy@heyboomer.biz. We will send you next week's recipe before anybody else gets it.
What are we cooking next week?
Kate Washington is our guest. She's making something called peach kuchen.
Right.
Oh my gosh, my mother was famous for that, and my English cousins about a month ago emailed me and asked me for the recipe. So I am so excited to test my recipe against Kate's recipe. And Kate, by the way, is a journalist from Sacramento who became a caregiver to her husband, Brad. It very difficult, thrust into it. And she noticed that there was not a lot of support financially, spiritually, emotionally, that
even
our
medically.
country or medically, that our country, that we are giving to the caregiver. And she will discuss that with us.
And in fact, CJ, Doris, who's on in our community here, saw the article in the New York Times that pointed you to reach out to Kate.
That's how I found Kate.
So thank you, Doris, and the rest of y'all. Send people our way like that.
Yeah, it's great because we're meeting so many diverse people, so many wonderful people, and learning so much about the world of caregiving, even though I've been through it and I thought I knew it all. Right. So remember to email us. Please join the community. Our Facebook page now we're doing questions, comments, commentary, how we can help each other. We're growing a conversation on the Facebook page. We're growing a community.
Yeah. So thank you, Rabbi, so much. This was such a meaningful conversation. And wow, so much more to talk about in this. I hope people will check out your page, thejewishsacredaging.com. I think there's a lot of great resources there. Obviously, your podcast, Seekers of Meaning, is there. So I would encourage people just to check it out. It's really a very useful page.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And be sure and on our Facebook page, go to sign up for the Sweet Spot. You have to register for that Zoom in order for us to let you in. So plan on attending. It's April the 21st to talk to Kate more in depth about some of the challenges that caregivers are facing without the governmental support and whatever.
Yeah. So I thank you all. I am CJ Golden.
And I'm Wendy Green.
Richard Address, thank you so very much.
You take care. Stay healthy, everybody. Good luck on Sunday, CJ. And
well, we have to get through Friday night.
I'm actually going for the other team, CJ, University of South Carolina. Sorry.
Oh, of course you are. Oh, my goodness.
Well,
there's a coffee cake on the line.
Temple University project, my alma mater. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay. But for Wendy Green, and for myself, CJ Golden, thank you so much for being a part of the Caregiver Space community, the Caregivers Bakery community, and we'll see you next Thursday.
And what do we say, CJ?
What do we say? We say that we know that caregiving is not a piece of cake. So let us help you find the sweet spot.
All right.
Cute,
thanks.
Right?
Bye, y'all.
Bye.